Back to making money on quarterbacks. Joe Burrow, plus 650 to win the MVP this year, only behind Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen.
Not Patrick?
No, he's ahead of Patrick. Maybe a little bit ridiculous.
Okay.
Not the best odds. Now, the question is, can you make money on Joe Burrow this year? His Silver Prism rookie PSA 10 is floating around $1,600 last sale. That card is pretty high for a Silver Prism rookie. But if Burrow wins the MVP, which, listen, he's always flirting in the top 5 of the MVP race. You could have gave it to him last year. What do you think his card price does if he wins that MVP? Where does it go?
So the Prism Silver is like a good marker for that year's class. But comparing 2020, 2019, and 2018 silvers to later year silvers are much higher pops. The Joe Burrow silver at one point I think was going for like $5,000 to $7,000. Will it get back to that point? Probably not. But if he wins MVP, you can at least see a 2x around the $3K range.
The next quarterback we're going to bring up, and I think you love this guy, CJ Stroud, at plus 2,200 to win the MVP this season. I love that as a bet, by the way, if you're a gambling man.
It.
I think CJ Stroud has all the tools needed to potentially win that MVP. We might be a little too early in his career, but I would take the flyer at that price. Also, his last sale, Silver Prism rookie, $480. So we're talking about 1/3 the price of Burrow, which that's a huge discrepancy. Now, again, we do have to reference pop count. We have to account for that. But at the same time, there's no way that Joe Burrow is 3 times the quarterback as CJ Stroud right now.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, Stroud's Prism Silvers aren't his best card by far, but there are tons of Stroud's Prism that are way undervalued. Like last show, we talked about the Gold Shimmer. We thought it would do low. It ended up doing $5,000, kind of what we expected. I honestly think that if you pick up Stroud now, you have the most room to 2, 3, 4x because it was at that range just a year and a half ago. Like, we're not too far off of when it was these points, and that was before he even played a full season of football. He'll come in this year. He'll show how dominant he is. He'll win another MVP. He'll win his first MVP. You could see Prism Silvers doing 1,000, but you could also see, let's say, that Prism Gold Shimmer you were talking about, they did 5K, going back to 20K.
I could definitely see CJ Stroud going back up to those numbers. Also, when you're talking about pop count, now the PSA 10 Joe Burrow, there's only 300 of those. I think 298. There's 2,000 PSA 10 Silver rookie Stroud. So you do have to account for that in the pricing. But at the same time, if CJ Stroud were to win an MVP, I think his price can 3 or 4x easier than Joe Burrow. I don't think he has the ability to 3 or 4x, where I do think CJ Stroud could be a $1,500 silver if he won an MVP.
Yeah, because you can get CJ Stroud at penny stock prices. Like, you can get a big multiplier on his stuff. We're also forgetting he has no autographs. So Prism cards are his best cards. So go out, get numbered Prism, get field level selects, get case hits, color blasts, kabooms, yada yada, and you'll see a nice jump when it comes down to it.
So I don't see CJ Stroud's card going down too much this year, but I do see the potential for it to go high up. Another guy I really like at a similar price point, who I think has a massive potential to go up, is Brock Purdy. Plus 2,500 to get an MVP this year. His PSA 10 Silver Prism just did $500. So he's floating right around that same price point as CJ Stroud. A little bit better odds from VegasInsider.com. A little bit worse odds in the card game. Do you like Brock Purdy as a buy this year to go up in the middle of the season?
Similar to Stroud, Big Cock Brock. Can I say that?
You sure can.
So Brock Purdy, just 2 years ago, was the 3rd highest selling quarterback in the class. Brock Purdy numbers, when he was in back-to-back Super Bowls, I think his Prism Silver was well over $1,000. You got to look at the graph of these players. If they've already reached high points, it's not like they can't go back to them. I mean, go look at what a Josh Allen Prism Silver was in 2020. It went down a lot from 2020 to 2023. But once he won that MVP, these numbers are right back to where it came. So Brock Purdy, a lot of potential, great market. It was super hurt last year. The whole team was decimated. He'll be back in playoff shape. If Brock goes to his 3rd Super Bowl in 4 years, like, we have to start talking about that. This guy's a Hall of Famer.
And just for reference as well, there's 600 PSA 10s of this card in comparison to 2,000 CJ Strouds. I don't know if they just overprinted that year or what's going on. Again, I think Brock Purdy has less of a print run because CJ Stroud was a top 5 pick. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, right? So I like the ability for this card to go up in price. I think CJ and Brock Purdy are both in bad divisions that they can win easily. The Niners in the NFC West and the Texans in the AFC South.
Yeah, and what we see in the last 2 players we talked about or last 3 players are on good teams. Bengals, Texans, Niners. We're not talking about like a Seahawks team right now. We're talking about franchises that have won recently. So good teams, good markets, good players. I mean, it's hard not. I'd rather invest in one of these guys than a running back on a shitty team.
And now you might call me crazy for this, but I got a 4th guy who I think really has a chance at an MVP over Josh Allen. Do you know who it is?
I don't. I'm scared to hear.
He's a Tampa Bay quarterback not named Tom Brady. Baker Mayfield coming in at plus 3,300 on Vegas Insider to win the MVP this year. Love that as a flyer. Throw $100 down. He wins, pays you over $3K. Now, I couldn't even find a Silver Prism rookie sale on alt. To reference, I had to find a silver auto sale, which was a little over $200 in a PSA 1010. So Baker Mayfield, silver rookie with an autograph, is less than half the price of CJ Stroud or Brock Purdy. Do you think there's room for Baker Mayfield to make you a couple bucks this year?
I really like this pick because if you look at Baker's stats, he's aged like fine wine. Baker Mayfield has only been getting better each year he's in the league. And you don't even have to win MVP to go up. If you're just in the top 3, if you have your name on the ballot, you're doing something right. No one ever thought 2 years or 3 years ago when he was on the Browns that we would ever see Baker Mayfield on the MVP ballot. If Baker makes that next jump, because last year I think he led the league in either passing yards or some statistical category. If we see him on the next echelon, Baker cards should be very expensive. Also, I'd like to say that Tampa is fully behind Baker. Like, this is not a franchise who just got a quarterback for a year or 2 and is like, oh, he's cool. He's long-term in Tampa. If he shows strides, and get ready for a jump.
Well, listen, he also has Mike Evans. He has Chris Godwin. They just drafted the kid. He has McMillan.
Mecca Ibuka.
Yeah, so he's got 4 like lights-out receivers that he can throw to.
Yeah,
he's
Bucky?
also in a division that stinks. The Panthers stink. The Saints stink. The Falcons might not stink, but their coach is probably going to screw him up like he always does.
They stink.
So I think Baker Mayfield stands to win a division, puts you in the playoffs. If you get to the playoffs, your card price is going up. So, listen, I like Baker Mayfield. I think he can throw for more touchdowns than Josh Allen. I think he can throw for more yards than Josh Allen. I mean, listen, the combined rushing and passing yards might be more in Josh Allen's favor. But at the same time, as my 4th-round flyer, I'm going with Baker Mayfield to make you more money this year than Josh Allen.
Dude, the first 7 years of 2018 was Lamar and Josh, and the next 7 will be Baker Mayfield. And also, another kid that I want to bring up who, like I said, may not win MVP, but could jump into MVP category, is a young man on the Colts, and it's not Anthony Richardson. It's the new Indiana Jones, Daniel Jones. If he comes in, wins that job, wins double-digit games, we could have a Sam Darnold situation in Indianapolis very quickly.
The problem is I don't have a 1-of-1 fast break black prism Daniel Jones PSA 1010, and I do have an Anthony Richardson. So I'm going to have to root against that, all right? And I'm going to root for my own card to go back up to the $25,000 offer that I declined 2 years ago. Please like, subscribe, and check out these other videos that we think you might enjoy.